Biggest story that India's space agency just a few hours ago launched a rocket that will attempt to land a spacecraft at the lunar South Pole, which is a feat that really is going to advance India's position as a major space power, given that the United States, the former Soviet Union, and China have been unable to land near the lunar South Pole.
Well, that's right. The challenge that has been an incredible challenge, and thus hasn't been, succeed. Anyone hasn't been able to successfully reach there. And if India does that, this is going to be incredible. At least so far so good. The first couple of hours have looked good as far as this journey of Chandrayaan 3 is concerned, Kitch.
And to have more details on this, we are now joined on the line by science journalist Pallava Bhaglwa. Thank you very much for joining us here on Kitch and Neeil Talk 100.3.
Thank you very much.
Pallava, we've been talking to a lot of people. In fact, just a while back, we also got a chance to speak to Mr. Nambi Narayanan. And when we're trying to understand and then, send this conversation out to our listeners as well, on what is the structural biggest difference between Chandrayaan 2 and Chandrayaan 3?
Well, Chandrayaan 2 and Chandrayaan 3 are very similar missions.
Mm-hmm.
Just that Chandrayaan 2, the Vikram lander, when it was approaching the surface of the moon, crash landed.
Right.
So this is a repeat mission to attempt a soft landing on the moon. And just to do that, hard lessons have been learned by ISRO from the failure of Vikram lander in Chandrayaan 2. And the several alterations have been made, especially on the lander.
Okay.
The software is more robust. The legs of the lander are more robust. It has been tested very rigorously.
Mm-hmm.
Simulations have been done on moon-like conditions. And ISRO is very confident of having a successful mission this time. And more importantly, this mission will place India's flag intact near the south pole of the moon, which would be a big deal.
It is a huge thing. It is scheduled to land around the 23rd of August. How long do we believe the rover will spend on the moon's south pole?
Well, see, the rover and the lander are designed to last for what is called a one moon day. The sunrise and sunset on the day on the moon is 14 Earth days.
Right.
So it is expected that they will touch down on the dawn of the lunar day and then function for 14 days. And beyond that, if the Vikram lander and the rover come alive after the lunar night, which can be very treacherous because it gets very cold out there,
Mm-hmm.
that will be a bonus. But they are expected to last for 14 Earth days and do scientific experiments on the surface of the moon.
So when you're saying that, that it is going to last one lunar day, so technically it is not the day as in like what an Earth day would be like 24 hours. A lunar day is technically 28, 29 days, right? Earth-wise,
Yes,
24 hours.
28 days. 14 days of continuous daylight and 14 days of continuous night.
So
that's what's called
we're
day and
looking
night,
at.
so that's 28 days.
So we're looking at only the daytime. We're looking at only the daytime on moon and not the night time on moon, as far as the utility of rover is concerned.
Both Vikram and Pragyan, Vikram the lander and Pragyan the rover, are solar powered.
Okay.
So when there is no sunlight, they cannot function.
Right.
They don't have nuclear power on them, so they are solar powered.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you need to have sunlight, and when you have continuous sunlight in those 14 days, that would be expected for the working time. That's the nominal working time.
Right. And what all information, what data is the rover expected to collect while it will be there on the journey?
See, it's essentially a scientific mission with a technology demonstration of soft landing on a celestial body by India, which is a big deal. But ultimately, it will do elemental analysis of the moon crust, also try and measure what are called moon quakes, also look at the plasma on the thin atmosphere of the moon, and they also put a probe down 10 centimeters into the regolith or the moon soil to look at the temperature profile on the moon. So there are several experiments and interesting scientific experiments which will be conducted if a successful soft landing happens.
Now, tell me something, Apollo is something that we've all been aware of, or was probably the most advertised moon mission, right? But after of the first set of men that landed on moon, why has there been a discontinuance from a global perspective? Not just the Americans, but a global perspective. No man has gone up to the moon. I'm sure that in the world of social media and internet, there are a bunch of conspiracy theories. But what is the real reason?
Well, 12 men, all from America, United States of America, landed on the moon. The last one went there in 1972. And after that, NASA and United States of America literally forgot about the moon. till India decided to do its Chandrayaan-1 mission in 2008, which is a mission where India was the captain, and it had NASA, European Space Agency, and other agencies as partners. But that was a time when the first hint of the discovery of water molecules on the moon came about, which changed the geological and lunar history once and for all. And it happened thanks to an Indian mission.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, NASA and USA woke up from their almost 50-year slumber of the moon and decided to launch what is called now the Artemis program.
Mm-hmm.
So Artemis is a twin sister of Apollo.
Right.
And so Apollo was done in the 20th century, and 21st century, USA is doing what is called the Artemis program. Yes, the world, till India woke up, had suddenly forgotten about the moon, but India, in a way, stirred the global opinion on the moon, and now everybody is thinking of the moon, and especially USA now talks of going back to the moon with men and the first woman to go back to the moon.
Well, there is some reports that NASA and India's space mission could be working together next year.
Yes, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Joe Biden were there in Washington earlier, they signed an accord in which an Indian astronaut will be sent to the International Space Station on an American spaceship sometime in 2024. The details of which are still not available fully, but since the leaders have decided, it would be a good opportunity for both countries, one the world's largest democracy and the other the world's oldest democracy, to try and attempt sending an Indian astronaut in space. The last Indian astronaut to go into space was Rakesh Sharma, who went up in 1984. So there has been a long gap, and it is much awaited.
Yeah, he was the first and the last, wasn't it?
Till date, the only Indian to go into space.
Wow.
Now this is surprising. Now there have been a lot of conversations about not using any orbiter on this mission, considering the fact that the orbiter that we used last time is still functional. It does put out a statement in the world that hey, what we built in India is really good. That hey, it took us 4 years or 3 years to actually send another one in space, but still the orbiter is pretty much up and running.
That is true. The orbiter of Chandrayaan-2 is functioning in orbit and giving back good results.
Mm-hmm.
So India saved on the money on having an orbiter and just sent a propulsion module. So it is getting value out of a mission which has survived for such a long time and doing a mission alongside with it.
Parallelly, Mangalyaan is also there. I'll just take your focus a little bit there. What is the love towards Mars? Is it something that we're really looking at to be like the next Earth or the next colony where the humans will actually go out and live?
See, there is an urge to explore the solar system.
Mm-hmm.
The moon is the closest neighbor we have.
Right.
So that is one stepping stone. And then the closest neighbor we have on one side is Mars, and the other side is Venus. Venus, even though considered object of love and affection, is very hostile because it is warm and very, very unlivable.
Right.
So Mars is the other alternative, which is the nearest neighbor. So Mars has been a focus of attention for India, USA, Russia. So many countries have tried to understand Mars better.
Mm-hmm. Now, there was one question that we couldn't get through from Dr. Nambi when we were talking to him, and that was with regards to the broadcast. Whenever there is communication, we did say that we lost communication from the Vikram lander when Chandrayaan-2 was sent. what is the mode of communication? Because normally when whatever we've understood being on radio, that voice travels through a medium, and that medium is air. But in space there is no air. So what is the medium that is used to communicate between an object which is on the lunar surface or in the orbit?
You use electromagnetic radiation to communicate, but the fact that the Vikram lander lost communication, it lost because it crash landed.
Okay.
And nothing more. We didn't lose communication with it. It crash landed, and then obviously the instruments got damaged and it could not communicate.
Right. I mean, this time we definitely
could not communicate.
Right. I mean, this time we definitely are hoping that we come back with much better news, and the soft landing process that has been worked upon gives us much better results. We were so thankful for you to spend so much time with us and have this conversation, because as much as excited we are, the space is still a grey area for a lot of us.
It is an exciting area, and the more people focus on it, the better it is. And the United Arab Emirates already has an astronaut at the International Space Station,
right,
which is a wonderful thing. And I wish the astronaut luck. And very soon, in a couple of days, or maybe in a day or so, the Indian Prime Minister will be in the United Arab Emirates, which will be again cementing ties between UAE and India. And this would be wonderful news.
Well, Pallava, we know how busy you are at the moment with this news surrounding India's space mission, so we do appreciate your time this afternoon here on Talk 100.3.
Thank you very much.
Pallava Bhaglwa, the science journalist there, discussing this remarkable situation and historic day, really, as India's space agency launched that rocket that will attempt to land a spacecraft at the lunar South Pole. Exciting, isn't it?
It is. It is incredibly exciting. No one else has done this. We're trying to do it again last time. As we all say that there were some learnings from the Vikram landers, issues. And if we've got our calculations right, which, we Indians are good at, I think we should be able to get it right this time.
Well, here was the mission liftoff just an hour or so ago.
Plus 5 seconds.
Liftoff normal.
Here we have a majestic liftoff of LVM-3 M4 rocket carrying India's prestigious Chandrayaan-3 spacecraft.
P2 tracking.
प्रज्वलन और सफलतापूर्ण उत्थापन LVM-3 M4 रॉकेट का। यह भीमकाय रॉकेट आसमान को चीरते हुए अपनी भयानक दहाड़ से चारों ओर कंपन उत्पन्न कर रहा है।
As the rocket is soaring through the clear skies, every second moving closer to the accomplishment of the most important milestone in its mission to moon. Every Indian witnessing the launch live is content with the feeling of watching history in the making.